right, everybody. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Pristine Connections Podcast. I am with Nielsen, who owns Black Gold Exteriors. It's a roofing, window, and fencing business, correct?
Roofing, windows, and fences. That's right.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. We'll just dive right in. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, what can I say? I like to meet people. I like to do business. I like to help people out in any way I can. So when people come in with questions, whether it's construction, I mean, I also own another company that specializes in home remodels, kitchens, bathrooms, and stuff like that. So I'm very well versed in the construction industry. Been doing this for quite a long time. So just big on customer service, big on doing what you're gonna say that you like. Whatever you mention, hey, I'm gonna say that do this. If you for whatever reason you're not able to accomplish that you're upfront with things, and yeah, that's what I like. What I like, kind of like go about.
Yeah, that's awesome. So do you have family?
I have a wife. We have a 15-year-old kid that right now is chilling down in Mexico.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, so
That's awesome. You said you're from San Miguel.
I am
We just
from
talked about it.
so I always tell people that I'm from San Miguel because like that's the biggest city that people are aware of. Like a lot of, like as I was saying earlier, the town is probably 20% of the whole town is people that are foreigners, like Canadians, Americans, Russians, and all. And but like my hometown is like, let's say from Plano to Dallas, so it's like 30 minutes. It's called San Felipe, which is probably, I mean, it's in the map. I promise you, it's somewhere in the map. But it is about 3 hours north of Mexico City.
That's awesome. I've heard great things about Mexico City. I was on vacation in Cabo with a couple that was from Mexico City, but they spoke, I think they're from Mexico City, but I feel like they spoke
English?
No, I mean, I don't even think, anyways,
They
I don't
spoke a
even
different
remember.
language?
I think they spoke a different language, but
It could be.
They were
Like-
really
like-
fascinating people. They were a young couple.
So Mexico City and is a big place where like a lot of industry happens, and a lot of like if you want to like film a movie or run any type of big corporation, you'll go to Mexico City and make that happen because that's where all the connections are at.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people. Same thing that is happening in San Miguel. There's a lot of people because of the cost of living and the cost of run a business. A lot of people go out there to do that. So,
Absolutely. So what got you into this business and industry? I know you said that you enjoy helping people, but where were you before you started all of this?
Well, so what got me into the construction industry was basically like I had no other choice. Like people was like, "Hey, you want to come and work?" And when I moved here to the States, I literally was like, "Okay, whatever." I mean, I tried a couple other things, but nothing stuck. Like I wanted to do originally, like I wanted to be working on cars, but for one reason or another, I was always brought into the construction industry. Like I would be laid off for a week, and then I would try to look for something else to do.
Yeah.
And then another opportunity, a better opportunity would come along to where like now I would learn like other trade that was where I knew a little bit about it, so I could get paid better than venturing onto something completely new to me.
Yeah.
And that's how I stuck in the industry. And then one thing led to another. I started opening a painting business. Then that painting business evolved to being a remodeling business. Then that remodeling business evolved to being design build. And then lately we started what's Black Gold Exteriors, which is I still have the other business, but this is a new branch where we do roofing, windows, and fences. So one of the things that got me motivated to start this is to educate people, to make sure that you know what you're dealing with, that you know what your options are, right? So a lot of people is like, hey, I just need a new roof. Can you put me on a new roof? Well, I mean, maybe you don't care about the quality of the roof. As long as it don't leak, it's a good roof, right? But what else can you get? Can you get because marketing for a lot of these companies, they are really big on like, oh, go with this particular brand and you will have the best results, which is I mean, everything is perception, right? You might have a certain result in a certain scenario, but not in other, right? So a lot of people would just go with like, oh, like this particular shingle is the one to go because my neighbor is putting it. And if they're putting it, that means it's good, right? But that's nothing could be farther from the truth.
Right.
They might be putting it out of misinformation. Maybe the rep who's showing them that roof, that particular product is getting a bigger commission on it. I mean, it could be
Yeah.
several different reasons. And what I like to know, I mean, what I like to do is I like to show you the different products that are available, and then you make that decision. So the
Right.
same thing, the same principle applies to our windows, the fences. So just because something looks good doesn't mean it's the best.
Right.
And I want you to make that decision. So if you're like, you know what, Nielsen, I want you to put this product in my house, and as long as you're aware that there might be other better products, but if you're in love with that particular color or that particular shape or whatever that is, and you're calling that shot, then I'm good with it
Yeah.
because I did my job by explaining to you, and now you have all the information you need to make an educated decision.
Absolutely. So, what's the process kind of look like if somebody was to call you up and just say, "Hey, I need a new roof or a fence or windows"? What's
Well,
that process
it
like?
really depends. So they if you call me today, and say you call the office and you're like, hey, I need an inspection on a roof. The next question would be, is there a a reason? Like, do you have a recent hailstorm, or
Hmm.
was this a previous hailstorm on other seasons, or have you seen a leak? You've seen some water, anything like that
Sure.
on your ceilings? What is maybe some noises in your attic and stuff like that, and you suspect that you have an entry for a little creature or something,
Yeah.
and you want for us to come out and check that out. So, if let's say it's an insurance project where you already have, maybe you set up the claim
Hmm.
already, you got approved, then the next step for us will be to look at the paperwork. And there's a lot of gray areas, the gray area where some people say, well, why don't you just provide an estimate? Some other people say, no, I need to look at the paperwork, and the deductible is that's going to be your estimate,
Yeah.
basically. The reason why we want to look at the paperwork is because, as much as we would like for insurance to do their part, they leave to 20 to 30% on the table almost every time.
Sure.
Meaning they probably don't add starter, they probably don't add they could be missing self metals or the rich cap or anything like that. And we want to know because we want you to get whatever, maximize whatever is on your policy.
Yeah.
Even though we're not allowed to discuss policy with you, we're allowed to discuss the scope, and
Hmm.
then we can tell you, look, this is not included, it's missing on your paperwork, but you already have it, so the insurance has to replace it because
Right.
you have this particular turbine or whatever
Yeah.
the case is.
Yeah, absolutely. So you obviously touched on insurance carriers, so I want to dive into that for a little bit. So obviously insurance is crazy. It's getting a little expensive, but there's been a lot of storms going on, obviously that you can attest to. So from a roofing perspective and owning your business, when you're talking to your clients, how do you help them navigate that insurance process? Because not everything's always a claim.
That's true. That's true. So again, is one of those things that's a love hate relationship with the insurance, right? We need the
Sure.
insurance. We, in the perfect world, we would need to be on the same team, which is on the homeowners team,
Yep.
because we want to do you solid. We want to make sure that we get you taken care of. Unfortunately, there's also money involved, right? And
Yeah.
insurance is not in business to just writing checks left and right.
Hmm.
Some people, so what the insurance has done over the years, because I've dealt with, before I started a roofing company, we've also done water damage restoration and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So I'm very well versed with the insurance and their processes and stuff. And a lot of people, when we go out to talk to them, they think that the insurance is on their side, and nothing could be farther from the truth.
Not always.
Yeah, so most of the time, I mean, I'm not saying all the time, but most of the time, you're gonna find that the insurance shorten you 20, 30% on the roof. On the inside, it could be, I mean, typically I tell customers that they're gonna write you a check for about 30 to 50% of your total loss. And at that point, we need to write up a full estimate and make sure that we include everything that's missing, and then
Hmm.
the negotiation process gets started so we can meet the adjuster, discuss the scope,
Yep.
and everything else. But I always tell people, if you see your insurance is in a Super Bowl commercial, that's where your money's at. Not on your side. They're not on your side. They're not a good neighbor. They're none of that. So if you can stick with smaller carriers, and have a relationship with your agent, that is the best advice I could give people when
Absolutely.
it comes to insurance. Because if you don't understand policy, you don't understand me, I don't understand policy, so I understand what needs to be done to get it done right. But
Sure.
if that is not on your policy, because maybe you decided, hey, I need to save some money. How can we cut? Which a lot of us want to save money, right?
Absolutely.
Like I don't know anybody that's like, oh, give me the most expensive policy out there.
Right.
So that's why stay away from the big box store insurance and go meet an agent that can educate you and definitely don't try to save on some dollars here and there because if you I mean, if you can, obviously compare apples to apples with different insurance, different carriers,
Yep.
with the help of your insurance agent, and then make a decision. But definitely try to do your homework before you buy and understand your coverages because there's nothing worse than us going out there to look at a project and it has all these exclusions, which
Mm.
is in the end you just get a piece of paper
Sure.
and now you're in the hook for paying that
Yeah,
out of pocket. So
absolutely. I will say, so we have farmers. I used to work for a farmer's agent, but our agent is very particular. Like he's not like your normal big box. Like he's very specific about how he writes. All of his agents are trained to like if a storm happens, you call them and they'll talk to you before you go file a claim. So not all of them it can be like I mean, but I understand what you're saying because like we have State Farm for our cars and farmers for our home. But I, at the end of the day, I know my home is covered no matter what because I made sure of it. And I'm like, I need to know that if my roof is get obliterated tomorrow, that y'all have me.
and one of the things is the insurance agent, when you have an issue, they will help you out,
Yeah.
like, talking and understanding your policy, talking to the agent, making recommendations and whatnot. But I've seen cases where even the insurance agent is powerless. I mean, because
Yeah,
like
that can
the
happen.
the adjuster is like, I'm not gonna pay this and I'm not gonna pay this, and then I mean, there's obviously processes and stuff that go a little farther than that. But if you can avoid any of those headaches, because there, when you have a claim, what you want is you want to get your house back. You want to get your normal life right away the way it was, and insurance knows that. So they know that you're gonna get tired. They're gonna wear you out. So the best thing is to keep calm. You know what I mean? Try to be objective and think of what's gonna be the best in the long run.
Hmm.
And then, like I said, just try to go look for a good contractor that you feel comfortable with, that you feel like speaking the truth, and that you think they're gonna do a good job. Check references and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. Great advice. Absolutely great advice. So, my favorite question I want to know some of the craziest stories that you've dealt with before on jobs
Well,
or funny. Crazy, funny, doesn't matter.
funny, funny stories. I mean, I've seen over the years, I've seen it all. I mean, I've seen all kinds of different shortcuts that people do. I mean, I've been to houses where like they don't put any either like no underlayment, they just put the actual shingles on, and
Hmm.
like I mean, everything is just terrible job, right? I've been in houses with several layers of paper and all the shingle. I mean, the plywood is completely rotted underneath. People don't even know,
Yeah.
and that's why it's important to like have not only completely strip it, but you also like go with a contractor or a company that do as they say they would,
Yeah.
because a lot of people, when they especially when they try to cover the deductibles and stuff like that, they're gonna find a way to find a shortcut and how to save some money.
That's right.
But that's definitely not the best way. But yeah, I've seen a lot of that. I've seen shower pans that doesn't have a liner. So literally, when people are showering, the water is like just going out like a little fountain thingy. So
Mm.
and we just go out there and I'm just like, so you know how they say there's never enough money to do it right the first time, but always enough money to do it twice.
Yeah.
So just don't do that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
That's terrible. Could you imagine? Um, so if anybody's looking to one, you've started two jobs now, two different businesses.
Yes, sir.
What advice would you give to somebody up and coming in this new generation that might want to get into your line of work or even just start a business?
Just get out there, talk to people, educate yourself, grab a book, listen to a podcast of people that, I mean, there's great advice out there. Today, in today's era, when I started my business, YouTube was not as popular as it is today. It
Hmm.
was just nothing about like crazy videos of people doing, like dumb things.
Dumb things.
Yeah, today there's a lot of information. There's a lot of guys putting information for business, for roofing, for how to form an LLC, and just do your homework and
Yeah.
try to meet someone that is already doing it, and educate yourself. Because I mean, I've had a lot of painful lessons that over the years I didn't know myself how to I didn't have anybody that I could go and talk to about business and stuff like that. Little did I know that that was a thing. You know, what I mean, I just thought, hey, you open up your business and you're up to making money, right?
Yeah.
Like that's, I mean, technically that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
But then there's a lot of other things that that you, if you meet someone that's already doing it, it could shorten the learning curve, and
Hmm.
then you can start like literally playing with the big boys right away in the next 2 to 3 years. So
That's great. That's really great advice. I know I always thought YouTube was so big back in the day, but apparently I was very incorrect because now it's like this big commodity these days. Do you have any long-term goals for your company?
long term goals. Well, we wanna we would like to franchise it. We like to create territories with it. And that's a I've know a couple of guys that have done different franchises, not necessarily in the roofing and window
Hmm.
industry, but I like to try that out. I'm not sure. I want to say that would be probably the next 5 years or so. First, I want to create all the systems in place so that I can give you the franchise with everything, all the recipe of what you need to know, and not just throw you under the bus and be like, hey, like this is
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean, throw you out on the field and you have no idea what you're doing, but you bought a expensive franchise and you're just like, you know, you're not making any money. So
Sure.
the idea of buying a franchise and not starting your own name is always the thought that you're gonna get the name, you're gonna get the branding, you're gonna get the marketing. They're gonna help you with that. And a lot of today's franchises, for what I heard, a lot of them are not doing that. It's just like, here's the
Hmm.
name, and
Yeah.
here's a little book where you can just go
Yeah.
and check if you have any questions. And I would like to create something that literally you start making money right away. So we will give you the recipe. I mean, obviously you will have to try it and work it
Yeah.
and work the system to the best of your ability. But at least we'll give you the fundamentals. That would be ideal.
Yeah, absolutely. I know a guy that you should talk to about franchising. That's like all he does is help businesses franchise. So,
That's yeah. So definitely in the next 5 years, probably be talking to
yeah.
to that person and see how we can make it work. But
Yeah,
that would be the long term goal.
that's great. You talked about territories when you branch out, but what current service areas do you provide your
Right
services
now,
for?
we're working all over DFW. I
Okay.
mean, I've been to a lot of seminars and wind the storm and here and there, and you see a lot of people like either storm chasing or doing sets and stuff with
Hmm.
other bigger companies. I don't know that I would like to do that. That to me is like a lot of I mean, probably a lot of excitement and also a lot of headaches.
Yeah.
And I like I mean, like the certainty of like knowing what's next.
Sure.
So who knows? Maybe if I would at one point partner up with someone that's like, you know what, crazy, and we're like, you know what, we don't care. Let's go ahead and try this out. Then we'll be storm chasing. But until then, I think we'll just play it safe and try to grow it to where we can then start selling these territories. For right now, we
Hmm.
just serve the DFW area, so we go all over, probably within 100 miles of Plano.
That's great. You have obviously you're part of the Pristine Connections networking group. So how has networking helped grow your business?
Networking is everything. I
Hmm.
mean, you're only one person away from your next $1 million deal, right? So you don't know. No one's gonna come and knock your door in your house and be like, "Hey, you want to do some business and make some money?" No one's gonna do that, right? You have to put yourself out there, network, meet people, and don't be shy. I mean, some people I know some people. Some of my one of my business coaches. He always claimed that he was an introvert, and
Hmm.
now he's a keynote speaker and stuff, and I think he does a great job. Also, some of my designers are like same kind of like engineer mindset, and they're not very outgoing, but they're putting themselves out there. And to me, I mean, that's the best way. Otherwise, you will have to maybe partner up with someone that
Hmm.
does. So definitely get yourself out there to as many meetings as you can and just meet people. And don't just go to the meeting, like set up a one-on-one, face-to-face, whatever you call it, and get to know that person, get to know them at a personal level and how you
Sure.
can help and be genuine about it. That's gonna take you places.
Absolutely. What experiences that have you been through that you think's just made you a better leader? Obviously, you run two businesses, you have a family, life's busy. Talk to me about
Life
that.
is busy. Experiences, I would say understanding, and this is probably gonna sound redundant, but understanding that not everyone learns the same way, and not everyone is the same
True.
as you. Like when I started the business, I would tell people like, "Oh, just follow me, and you're gonna learn," because that's how I learned, right?
Hmm.
But then later in life, I learned that there's all this kinesthetic and reading and listening and all these different ways of learning
Yep.
that people do different, right? To kind of like fit whatever their personality.
Yeah.
And that to me was a big eye opener because for many years I didn't know that, and now I wanna not only I try to teach people the way they need to learn, but also it also applies for sales, right? Not
Right.
everyone buys the same way. When you understand what's important for people, then that takes you to a different level, and
Yeah.
that to me I think is probably one of the things that has been the most helpful.
Yeah, I think that's great. Really, really great. Is there anything else that you'd like to share just about your company? I mean, things that maybe sets you guys apart from obviously there's a lot of roofers and trades industries in the area, but what makes y'all different?
Well, we're actually building a team. So I'm looking for some individuals that are outgoing and they want to be part of the Black Gold Exteriors. So if anyone listens to the podcast is like, you know what, I want to be part of that
Yeah,
team. I like to meet people with a high energy level so it can be contagious to other people,
sure.
and people that just I mean, are wanting to grow. I mean, the industry and the construction industry in general is just it's a one of those things that's almost recession proof. No matter what happens, you're always gonna need some type of construction service,
Yep.
and that's one of those things where you can make a living, make good money,
Hmm.
and help people take care of their homes, take care of their properties. Is very rewarding. So
Yeah.
if you guys know anybody, if
Yeah.
anybody's listening and want to come and join and learn, we'll love to interview with them and
Yeah.
yeah, go from there.
We'll make sure we get that posted. How can we find you?
You can find us at Black Gold Exteriors DFW on Instagram. And pretty soon I'm gonna open a YouTube channel. So just follow the Instagram, and then I'll give you the YouTube channel. Because I already have for my other business a YouTube channel, but this where we talk about like some of the stuff we do and counters and things like that.
Hmm.
But this other channel I want to make it more to where like not necessarily interactive, but also educational, where people can learn either how to do it themselves and they want to learn about business and things like that. So
Yeah.
definitely follow me on Instagram so we can I can then give you the information for the YouTube channel.
Sure. Yeah, we'll make sure we get that posted. Well, thanks
Yep, yep,
everybody
yep.
for tuning in. Thanks for joining us
Ashley, thanks for
today.
having me.
Absolutely. We will see you next week.
Okie dokie.